What's up Nakama, welcome to the part 1, of What If Luffy Had Koby Join His Crew, Chapter 1. Wealth, fame, power. Gul D. Roger, the king of the pirates, obtained this and everything else the world had to offer, and his dying words sent countless souls to the seas. You want my treasure? You can have it. I left everything I gathered together in one place. Now you just have to find it. These words lured men to the Grand Line in pursuit of dreams greater than they'd ever dared to imagine. This is the time known as the Great Pirate Era. For a guy with so many muscles, that Captain Person was really weak. A pirate laughed through a mouthful of food. He sat at a table in a restaurant in Shell's Town, a small city on an island in the East Blue. With him sat his newest crew member, the famous bounty hunter pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro, whom he had recently rescued from a marine base with the help of the table's third occupant. That was Koby, a young boy of 16 years who looked no older than 12. Monkey D. Luffy was a wiry 17-year-old with black eyes, a mop of black hair, and a small scar under his left eye. The teen's wardrobe consisted of a pair of open-toed sandals, jean shorts, and a red vest. Finally, atop his head was his greatest treasure, the hat for which his pirate crew was named. His only other crewmate was the infamous Roronoa Zoro, a man with short green hair and black eyes. Covering the swordsman's form were a plain white, dust-covered shirt and dark green pants with the bottoms stuffed into black boots. A bandana the same color as his pants was tied around his left bicep, and around his waist was a light green hairy maki with 3 swords stuck in the loop placed on the man's right side. The boy in question, Koby, was short and pudgy with large round glasses, blue eyes, pink hair, and a white and blue shirt with blue shorts. He sat, staring at the older teens as they ate without stopping to breathe. Zoro he could understand considering he'd just gone 9 days without food, but Luffy was so scrawny, Koby couldn't understand where all that food was going. Luffy. Koby stuttered, raising his hands across the table as if to stop the pirate. Slow down. We can't eat all of the food here. Not? Luffy blinked, cheeks puffed like a chipmunk. Eyes all free, ain't it? Then shouldn't we eat a lot while W can? That's taking advantage of their hospitality. They have to buy all the food even if we aren't. Calm down, shrimp. Zoro waved off, pushing his empty plate away. I don't get how he's eating more than me, but they offered. Okay, fine, Koby sighed, setting aside his feeling on the matter since their strongest people here disagreed with him. He had gotten good at that, ignoring, pretending, accepting, but he still didn't like it. He took a breath before shifting his focus to more immediate concerns. Then what's your plan from here? Our plan? Luffy asked, swallowing. You sound like you aren't coming along, Koby. Did you already forget why we came here? Koby demanded, aghast. I said I wanted to be a marine. Marines are the heroes of the world. Is that what you think? Zoro asked, one eyebrow raised. You just helped take down a corrupt marine, and you're still saying they're the good guys? Well. Koby floundered, his words dying on his lips. He wasn't wrong. Axe-Hand Morgan was only a captain, a small rank in the grand scheme of the Navy, and yet he let that modicum of power go to his head and went unchecked. Was that what the Marine stood for? That doesn't change the fact that you don't have a plan. For one, I know Luffy doesn't have any navigational training. Nope. Luffy smiled. Shishishi. Do you have any navigational skills, Zoro? Who needs them? Zoro replied with a wave. I just let the wind take me where it wants. It hasn't killed me yet. See, Koby? Luffy smiled. It works. Besides, I hear navigation doesn't work in the Grand Line. Koby blinked, his brain resetting. Great idea, Zoro nodded. We'll find a lot of strong people there. You want to go to the Grand Line? That's the craziest sea in the world. It's called the Pirate Graveyard because so many people die. If you two go without any help or someone to guide you, you'll die, no question. That's impossible. You can't become the pirate king if you're dead. That's just impossible. Totally You done yet? Luffy asked, raising his hand from Koby's head where the boy could feel a knot forming. Koby nodded, a couple tears in his eyes as his hands came up to cradle his abused scalp. Shh. Thanks for worrying, but we'll be fine. All motion within the restaurant paused, shadows filling the doorway. All attention shifted as a platoon of Marines filed inside, led by a man with a deep tan, a black mustache, beard combo, and a green ascot on his uniform. He stood at attention, facing the pirates and Koby, who had grown tense. "We thank you for your help in freeing Shell's Town from Morgan," the Marine began, looking over the pirates' heads rather than in the eyes. "We are in your debt, but that does not change the fact that you are self-proclaimed pirates. In consideration of your actions, we will turn a blind eye to your status and ask you to leave quickly and quietly." "But sir," Koby all but yelled, "you can't even give them the evening to rest." "I cannot. Pirates are pirates, so we must ask you to leave at the very least." "Yeah, okay," Luffy shrugged, polishing off his plate before rising from the table and collecting a bag of food as thanks from the bar's owner. Zoro followed his lead, the two passing the Marine on their way to the door. Koby watched with a tumult of emotions inside him, not knowing how to feel. "Hey, you!" the Marine called as he turned to look at Koby. "Aren't you part of the crew as well?" As Koby frowns, racking his brain for a response, the people around the room remained focused on him. The two official members of the Straw Hat Pirates, as well as the Marines that had come to kick them out of Shell's Town, paused. Behind the bar's counter were the female owner of the establishment and her daughter, Rika. The little girl, who could be no more than 7, was like a miniature version of her mother. Both had brown hair, a fair complexion, and big brown eyes. And both were waiting for Koby's answer just like everyone else in the building. "Well, he stammered, should he deny even knowing Luffy, the man who had rescued him from the torment that the pirate Alvida had put him through for more than 2 years? Or would he say yes? Doing so could brand him as a criminal, a wanted man, someone who could never work for the Marines unless he obtained the title of a warlord. By the door, Luffy turned away to exit, a bag of food resting over his shoulder offered by the owner. He was quiet, waiting to see if the boy's answer would happen before he left. "Hold it," the Marine man ordered, turning to the young captain. Luffy stopped. "Is he with you or what?" "What I can tell you is what he's been busy doing up to this point," the teen pirate responded in a happy tone. Koby turned with a shocked look on his face. "Yeah. There was this fantastically fat pirate lady. I think her name was Alstop," Koby yelled, coming to one conclusion. If Luffy was going to tell them about his past, about Alvida, then there was no way he would ever be allowed to join the Marines. But would that be such a bad thing? Everyone looked at the pink-haired boy as he steeled himself before continuing, memories coming to him of his life before running into Alvida. It has been a tough few days for young Koby after the last pirate raid. The horror of the ashes and rubble of Mount Island's outlying district a sign that the next few months would be a struggle. That meant little to the boy, however, as he sat on the grass, staring at a pair of simple stones. He'd been evacuated with the rest of the children, but why? Koby sniffed, whispers of the village's people, pitying him on the edge of his hearing. "Why did you stay? Why did you have to fight? Mom? Dad?" Koby could feel his tears flowing freely now, born from the pang of loss. He wasn't old enough to know much, but he knew no one would take him in. His parents' friends had too many kids of their own and his godmother had left on a ship not long ago. He had no one. But rather than blame the world, something his father had once said echoed in the young orphan's mind. "Don't hate the sea when no fish bite, for that means there are more to catch tomorrow. The world is the same way. Don't lament your loss, but celebrate your chances." His father had always been an optimist. Even so, Koby wiped his tears away and stood, making a choice there. Mom. Dad. I've decided. When I grow up, I'm going to make sure no one else feels this. I'm going to be a hero. Koby kept that ideal for 4 years, fighting for survival until he ended up on Alvida's ship and got a taste of what real pirates could be like. Mom. Dad. Would you support my decision here? Koby wondered, his memory and thoughts coming in the blink of an eye. I'll do it. I'll do the impossible. The Grand Line is a place where I can get strong enough to fulfill my dream! Assuming I don't die. He sucked in a breath. I am part of their crew. Zoro blinked in surprise while Rika and her mother gasped in shock. This boy had been talking about joining the Marines not 5 minutes ago, and now he was claiming to be a pirate? What had changed? The Marine raised an eyebrow. So you admit to being a member of this man's pirate crew? Yes, Koby nodded, trying to ignore his shaking legs. I had always wanted to be a Marine to fulfill my dream, but after seeing what Morgan did using his authority as a Marine captain, I don't want any part in that. Not anymore. So instead of being a Marine, I'll follow Luffy to see him become the king of the pirates. Luffy smiled. Shh. That's assuming I want you on my crew. You don't want me? Koby whimpered, tears starting to form in his glasses-covered eyes. He risked his future. Was it over for him already? Shh. I'm just joking, Koby. No need to cry. I'd love to have you on my crew. Luffy smiled again, but the Marine spoke once more. Then I'm afraid I must ask you all to leave. We will not report you because of what you've done for our town, but we cannot have you stay. Luffy and Koby took their cue to exit and join Zoro at the door before making their way through the streets. The people of Shell's town thanked them as they passed, showing their happiness over the defeat of the wretched axe-hand Morgan. Luffy smiled and waved, laughing at the people's exuberance. Zoro stayed passive while Koby considered what he had just done to himself. He had only known Luffy for a day at most, and he'd already pledged his life to the energetic, hat-wearing team. Though he'd still known him longer than Zoro, for whatever that comfort was worth. Hey, Captain Luffy? Koby asked, getting the rubber man's attention. Where are we going next? To the docks. And after that? I don't know, the captain answered, causing Koby to trip in surprise. They talked about not having a plan, but Koby didn't think it would bite them this soon. You don't know? The boy yelled as he rose and caught up to both the DevilFruit user and the swordsman. How can you not know? You're our captain, aren't you? Koby stumbled, Luffy's fist punching the top of his head. Ow. Why did you hit me? Felt like it. Plus you were asking too many questions. It was giving me a headache. By then, the three-man crew had reached the docks where the tiny sailed lifeboat that Luffy and Koby had taken from Alvida's crew sat bobbing in the water. Zoro stepped in as Luffy undid the rope holding the craft to the shore and threw it into the dinghy. They set off without fanfare. The boat was making its way out to sea, the slow waves bobbing the craft up and down. Behind them, the Marines had lined up on the dock and were saluting the three. In front of them were Rika and her mother waving at the group and telling them to return someday. Men. The man with the green ascot yelled. Because our salute is in clear violation of Marine protocol, we will not be allowed to eat for 3 days. Understood? Yes, sir. Luffy and Koby waved to the men and women until the island was out of sight. All right, Zoro yawned. Now that we've set off, we've got some important things to do. Like finding out where we're going, Koby agreed. And finding a musician, Luffy nodded. We don't need a musician. Zoro and Koby yelled in unison. Shh. Isn't this fun? Luffy asked, smiling out into the distance. This is our first voyage as a pirate crew. It does look like it's shaping up to be one hell of an adventure, Zoro commented, leaning back. And I'm going to become the Pirate King. You keep saying that. Any reason why you want to? Nope, but I made a friend a promise. Luffy reached up to hold his hat. I promised to gather an amazing crew and to return this hat to him once I become the Pirate King, so that's what I'm going to do. Hey, it's funny, Koby. I'd meant to rile you up so you'd slug me and be allowed to join the Marines, not become a pirate, too. Really? Koby questioned. Either way, Zoro sighed, it seems we'll all need to become stronger if we want a place on your crew. Isn't that right, Koby? That's right. I'll become strong. I'll help Captain Luffy achieve his dream. That or we'll all die trying. I don't know about you two, but I don't plan on dying anytime soon. I need to become the world's greatest swordsman. The world's greatest swordsman? Koby cried out in shock. Then you would have to defeat Hawkeye Mihawk. That's impose. Any reason for your dream? Luffy asked. Same as yours, Zoro shrugged, ignoring the small rosette. Made a promise, now I've got to keep it. We still need to gather a crew first, Luffy pointed out, turning to the horizon. Just wait. Grand Line, here we come. I'm hungry, Luffy whined for the 15th time in as many minutes, much to the ire of the boat's other awake occupant. They had been traveling for nearly 2 hours and their captain had eaten all the food they'd had from the village within half of that time. It only took that long because he was rationing. Koby glanced at his compass, and adjusted the sail's angle. The young boy was the only one of the three of them with any skill at navigating, reaffirming their talk in Shell's town. Luffy had never bothered to learn while Zoro was completely stupid when it came to directions. This was proven when he claimed that they needed to move away from the sun because it was 5 o'clock and the sun rises forward and sets behind. Luffy then tried to argue that the S on the compass stood for sun, so the sun was always in that direction. Their squabbling had lasted for a good 10 minutes before Zoro decided to take a nap and Luffy started to whine about boredom. The conversation started to sound a little something like this. Koby, where's the food? You ate it, Captain Luffy. Ate it? When did I? An hour ago, Captain. But now, I'm hungry again. Koby, do you know how to cook? Not really. I can cook fish, but that's about it. If I caught a fish, could you cook it? Not here. Why not? We're in a boat. So? Boats are made of wood. So? Wood burns. The boat would catch fire and we'd either drown or burn to death. That doesn't sound fun. No, it do. Hey look. A bird. Come here you. Luffy stretched his arm, latching onto the large, pink bird flying over the boat in an attempt to bring it down and eat it. What Luffy didn't anticipate was the size of the bird. It was larger than their dingy and barely registered Luffy grabbing on. The captain in question was lifted from the boat. Crap. Help me. Captain Luffy. Koby cried out. Zoro, who had been woken by Luffy's initial call to the feathered animal, could only stare as the man that claimed he was going to become the Pirate King was carried away. Should we do something about that? Zoro yawned. Yes. Alright. Geez, calm down, shrimp. Grab an oar. As Zoro said this, Luffy lost sight of the boat. Not that he was aware of the fact or truly cared. He was riding a bird, for Roger's sake. Thoughts of both his tiny crew in a tiny boat and eating his transportation were overridden by the excitement of the wind whistling through his hair. There was a moment of panic where Luffy nearly lost his hat, but it was rectified by a single stretch of his arm. Back on the boat, Zoro and Koby were rowing as hard as they could. And they weren't going anywhere. Logically, when two people row together at the same time, a boat moves forward, but this is with the assumption that both are about the same size and with the same strength. Koby and Zoro were about as far apart in that regard as Reverse Mountain is from Fishman Island. The large strength gap caused them to move in one big circle. Damn it, Zoro cursed. We lost him. I'm sorry, Koby whined, tears once more beginning to leak from his eyes. It's all my fault. I knew I was just going to hold Captain Luffy back and now we've lost him because I'm so weak. I should just throw myself overboard. Why did you hit me? You were being too loud. Now calm down and give me that oar. Zoro grabbed the outstretched paddle and moved to the front of the ship. Which way did he go? If I remember correctly, the bird was moving northwest, so that way. Koby pointed. Over the port side. The swordsman began rowing at a speed Koby had thought impossible. The boy took hold of the mast in order to keep his footing and not fly off the speeding ship. They stayed that way for a few minutes. Directly in their path were 3 men. The first was a ginger with hair that looked like a flattened afro. The second was a muscular, dark-skinned man. The third, who seemed to be the leader, had multiple ear piercings and was missing a couple of teeth. He also wore a black bandana with a skull and crossbones that had a large red nose and a flashy hat. "You in the boat?" The man with the bandana called. "Help us. I'm not stopping." Zoro called back. "If you want in, grab on when I pass." The men screamed as Zoro rowed past, grabbing the side of the boat lest they be swept up in the boat's wake and left behind in the middle of the ocean. They pulled themselves up and into the boat and came to rest on the deck, breathing heavily and dripping seawater. As soon as they had caught their breath, they pulled their swords from the sheaths on their belts. "Hey, thanks for the save," the bandana-wearing man chuckled, "but we are taking this ship now. You see, we're with Buggy the Clown." "BB Buggy the Clown?" Koby screeched. "One of the most feared pirates in all of the East Blue." "The very same," the man chuckled. He and his cronies advanced on the terrified boy and the impassive swordsman. "Who's this Buggy the Clown guy?" Zoro asked. "You don't know who Buggy the Clown is?" Koby gasped. Zoro remained unmoved with the exception of his arms, which were still rowing at his ungodly, for the East Blue, speed. "No, I don't." "Is that a problem?" "It might be for your health," the man sneered, "if you don't give us the boat." "I'd like to see you try," Zoro shot back. "Zoro, maybe we should give them the boat. Better to live and find Captain Luffy later than to die here." "Not a chance, shrimp." "Did he say Zoro? As in Aurora Zoro?" The ginger man stuttered. "The infamous pirate hunter?" The other man muttered fearfully. "Oh, so you've heard of me?" "Shut up, you fools," their leader hissed. "This can't be Roronoa Zoro. Why would he be out here looking for this Captain Luffy guy? Plus any real pirate hunter would have heard of Captain Buggy." "You're starting to piss me off," Zoro growled. He stopped rowing and prepped his swords. The men advanced. "One short, not really a fight. Later, we're sorry, Mr. Zhao," the bandana-wearing man apologized through a busted lip. Beside him, his partners had taken up rowing the boat. Luckily they could still use a paddle when both of their eyes were swollen shut. "We didn't think it was you." Yeah, Zoro waved off. He was disappointed in the fight and was itching to cut something. "Just listen to the shrimp's directions and you won't find yourselves stranded at sea again." "Yes sir." "Are we headed the right way, shrimp?" Koby, who was hung up on seeing such threatening men beaten with so little effort, snapped out of his thoughts. "Oh. Why yes. I'm not sure how far it is to land, but we are moving in the direction we saw the bird take Captain Luffy." "Good. I'm going to take a nap. Shrimp, if any of these morons make any suspicious moves, wake me up. I'll cut first and ask questions later." With that, Zoro sat on the deck and leaned against the wall, his arm wrapped around his swords protectively. Zoro gave the men one last glare before he closed his eyes and was soon snoring softly, leaving the scared Koby with the 3 terrified Buggy pirates. Is this strength? Koby wondered as he watched Zoro nap. He's strong enough for men to fear him even when he's asleep. If I could be that strong. Meanwhile, ow! Luffy screamed. One moment he was flying high, the next an explosion caused his ride to plummet. He landed in a street in the middle of 4 people, kicking up an impressive cloud of dust. All 4 looked at him, expecting to see his mangled and broken body. What they did not expect was for him to stand and pat the dust off himself as if he fell from the sky every other day. "Oh man," Luffy whined childishly. "I was having so much fun on that bird. Captain one of the figures exclaimed. She was an orange-haired girl dressed in a blue and white striped shirt, an orange skirt, and heeled sandals. She grabbed Luffy's arm, batting her eyelashes at him. "I'm so glad I found you. These men were trying to kill me. Could you take care of them?" "Huh?" Luffy questioned. "Thanks, Captain." The woman scampered away, fully expecting the men to kill the dim pirate. "So this is the captain of the bitch who stole our map?" One of the men wondered aloud. "Doesn't look like much to me," another muttered. They advanced on the pirate with a straw hat. And the first man was promptly thrown away by his extended fist. He collided with a building and slumped to the ground, unconscious. Luffy looked around, wondering where he was. What is this guy? Who cares? Kill him. The remaining two advanced with swords raised, only to be stopped short with a call of Gum Gum pistol. They fell like sacks of potatoes. I don't know who these guys were, but they're weak. Luffy laughed, standing alone in the street. "Hey, you," Nami called from a rooftop where she had climbed to watch the fight she had been expecting. Thanks. You're really strong. My name's Nami, by the way. Do you want to team up?" No thanks, lady," Luffy waved off in a bored tone. "I think I'll pass." He turned and started to walk off. "Hey wait," Nami called as Luffy's stomach growled, giving the orange-haired thief an idea. She smiled. "Can I invite you for a meal?" "Oh, Luffy paused, giving the woman the time she needed to make a few hops down to the street where she linked her arm with Luffy's. "Nice to meet ya. I'm Nami. I'm sure we'll be the best of friends. Also meanwhile, Captain," a random pirate in a circus outfit shouted, "the bird has been shot down. We are sending men to retrieve the corpse to use it as part of our feast just as you ordered." "Good." Buggy the Clown smiled menacingly. It should have known what was going to happen, trying to be flashier than me with all those pink feathers. Bwah-ah-ha-ha-ha-ha. "Now men, let's Captain Buggy. You do think you are, flashily cutting me off? That's punishable by flashy death by Buggy Ball." "I'm sorry, Captain," the man cried out, "but I just received word that our map of the Grand Line has been stolen by a woman with orange hair." Buggy's hand shot away from his wrist and locked around the crew member's neck. "What did you say?" Buggy questioned in an eerily calm voice. The man was gasping for air, his legs kicking the air uselessly. A woman. W with orange hair. She stole our map." Buggy dropped the pirate who curled up on the ground and took great heaving breaths. "Men," the clown pirate roared. "Find that woman and the map. And bring me the fools who lost it in a cage. We'll have a flashy execution." "Yes sir." Monkey D. Luffy sat at a table in an abandoned house in Orange Town, an empty plate sitting before him. Across from the rubber man was Nami, the orange-haired thief. He was trying to recruit to be his crew's navigator. "Join my crew." "I told you, I am not a pirate. I hate pirates, and I will never be a pirate." "Come on. It'll be fun." "No. Now listen here, I want you on my crew, so you're on my crew." "That's not how it works." "Come on." I said. "No." "Fine," Luffy huffed, sitting down and crossing his arms as he pouted. "You're lost." Nami walked over to the window. Outside, some men were arguing about finding a thief. A plan started forming in her head, one that just might rid her of this idiot pirate and get her away from Buggy along with all of his treasure. "How about this?" She began slowly, turning from the window. "I'll agree to be your navigator if you agree to certain conditions." Half an hour later, what have we here? Buggy the Clown questioned. Before him stood the woman who had stolen his stolen map of the Grand Line, said map clutched in her hand, and a black-haired boy tied up with rope and wearing a familiar straw hat. "What are you doing?" "I'm tired of working for this guy," the girl answered, giving the boy a hard shove that caused him to fall on his face. "He's childish, immature, and treats the world like it's a game. I want to work for you instead." Really now? Buggy's facial expression was unreadable. What do you call yourself? I'm Nami. Well, I guess this calls for a celebration to welcome our new member Nami. The next few minutes flashed by far too quickly for Nami to follow. Music was played with off-key singing, food and booze were passed around, and the teen in the straw hat was thrown into a cage. The party stayed that way for a good 10 minutes more, Nami still reeling, before something truly interesting happened. Let's get this party amped up, Buggy called, a flagon of alcohol raised into blush on his cheeks to match his nose. Bring out the cannon. The pirates cheered as a trio of them wheeled out a larger-than-average cannon from one of the crew's tents. They aimed it out over the town and loaded a red ball with Buggy's symbol on it into the weapon. Now bring out the idiots. Next, the three men Nami had knocked unconscious when she'd taken the map were pulled out in a cage not unlike the one Luffy was currently in. They were placed in front of the cannon, their pleas for mercy unheeded by Buggy or his men. Nami waited as one of the crew lit the fuse with a match. They backed away and covered their ears as the cannon fired with a massive boom. The girl from Kokoyashi village could only watch in absolute horror at the destruction caused by the Buggy ball. 1 second there were 3 caged men and a row of houses. The next, nothing but rubble remained. What was that? She cried out. One of my special Buggy balls, Buggy the clown explained with a cruel smile. With these and my devil fruit powers, I will flashily conquer the Grand Line. No way. Luffy whined from his cage. I'm the one who's gonna conquer the Grand Line. What? And then I'm gonna to become the king of the pirates. Blah ha ha ha. Buggy laughed. Not if you're dead, Straw Hat Boy. Now, Nami, fire the next one at your ex-captain. Kill him to prove your loyalty to me. The terrified thief was handed a box of matches as the oversized weapon was reloaded and repositioned, now pointing at Luffy. Fire! 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 The crowd chanted. What are you waiting for? Buggy prodded. Go on, Luffy ordered, startling the shaking teen. Do you have the pirate's resolve? To do what? She demanded. To kill without giving it a second thought? No, to put your life on the line for your dreams and your morals. There was a tense silence between the two while Nami debated with herself internally. A greasy-looking pirate snatched the matches out of her hand, his patience for waiting gone. Here, little girl, the pirate smiled suggestively. Let me show you how to have fun. He lit the match and time seemed to slow down for the navigator. In an instant, she made her decision, pulled out her personal weapon, a bow staff, snapped all 3 pieces together, and slammed it into the top of the man's head. He went down, stars clouding his vision. So you chose your old captain after all, Buggy growled, not surprised but disappointed all the same. Fine then. I'll just kill you both. Or, I'll just kill you. Your captain is done for anyway. Blah ha ha ha. True to his word, the pirate had lit the fuse before Nami's surprise attack. Are you going to save me then? Luffy perked up. Don't be stupid, the girl replied, glancing over her shoulder at the teen. I'm not doing this for you. I just won't lower myself to the level of these inhuman pirates. Pirates took the life of someone I cared for, I'll never forgive them and never join them. Get out of the way, a gruff voice ordered. Nami chose not to question it and dove away from the lit cannon. A second later, a slash of air cut through the fuse, leaving it to burn out on the ground harmlessly. The pirates and thief turned to the origin of the attack to see a man with short green hair and 3 swords, one of which was out, and a boy with short pink hair and a white and blue shirt standing on the edge of the building. See? The man questioned, showing that he had given the order. I told you we would make it in time. You started out going the wrong way. The younger of the two shouted back. Zoro. Luffy called, the name causing whispers in the crowd. Koby. You made it. Did he say Zoro? The pirate hunter? Is he here for the captain's head? It can't be that. He'd never win against the captain's devil fruit power. Girl, are you hurt? Zoro asked. And no, Nami responded. Good. Luffy, what did you do? I thought you were smarter than to get stuffed into a cage. Of course, you did get carried off by a bird first. He began walking over to Luffy's cage before the voice of a clown stopped him. So you're the infamous pirate hunter Zoro. If you're here for my head, you have quite a struggle before you. No thanks, Zoro waved off. Not interested. Oh, but I am. Killing you would boost my reputation. Let's just grab Captain Luffy and get out of here, the pink-haired boy stuttered. Shrimp, Zoro ordered. Grab Luffy and pull him through the bars. Buggy the Clown, I'm warning you. Back away now or I will kill you. Funny. I was going to say that last part. The two men prepped themselves for combat. Be careful, Zoro, Koby warned. It's said that Buggy the Clown has a power that makes him immune to swords. Good to know, Shrimp. Zoro placed his favorite sword, whatifluffy, in his mouth and put himself in a loose, offensive stance. Buggy sprung forward with a cry of die. And Zoro lunged. They were frozen for a second before the pirate captain split, his right arm and leg separating at the joints and his body cut horizontally. He fell. Well, that was boring, Luffy commented. Koby ran over and began yanking on the rubber man, pulling his head out easy enough. He was really weak. I don't think it's over yet, Zoro started, keeping his guard up. Shrimp seems to know more about these pirate captains than I do. He recognized Buggy's name when I didn't. Zoro turned on a dime, blocking a knife with the sound of metal on metal contact filling the air for half a second. The knife spun away, taking with it the floating hand of Buggy the Clown. What the? Zoro questioned before coming to a realization. Oh, I get it. You ate a devil fruit, didn't you? How very observant of you, roar no Zoro, Buggy commented, his body fusing back together. You are correct. I ate the chop chop devil fruit, so now I am a chop chop man. Since I can separate parts of my body, I cannot be bested by the sword. We'll see about that. The two collided in a flurry of blades. It was obvious that Zoro was better with weapons and had the longest reach, but the clown's ability nullified both of his advantages. They separated when Buggy actually managed to get a hit on Zoro, a shallow but rather painful gash on his left side. Zoro! Luffy called. The swordsman glanced at his captain to see that their other crew member had pulled most of his body out of the cage and was yanking on his shoulders to get his pelvis to bend. The cannon. Aye, Captain. The green-haired man ran at Buggy who swung, but the man ducked under his attack and kicked him in the back. Buggy was thrown into the crowd as his opponent was propelled past the cannon. The former bounty hunter made his way underneath its barrel and began lifting, making his wound worse, but not life-threatening. Nami, matches. Straw Hat called as he was finally pulled out of the cage by Koby, ending both tumbling to the floor. The girl grabbed the box the other pirate had dropped when she attacked him and made her way around as Zoro flipped the cannon with a burst of strength. She struck a match and lit the fuse, which had been shortened considerably when Zoro had cut it. No, wait. Buggy cried. That still has one of my special buggy balls in it. Boom. Luffy, still with his arms tied, Zoro, Nami, and Koby, being dragged by Zoro, ran as if their lives depended on it. Behind them, parts of the rooftop crumbled, falling into the street below. Luffy was laughing his head off, Zoro was silent, and Nami was staring at the hat-wearing pirate thinking he was insane. After all, he has just ordered her to shoot the infamous Buggy the Clown with his own cannon. And, she realized, she'd done it, too. She had just shot one of the most wanted men in all of the East Blue on the whim of an energetic teen in a cage. She was just as crazy as he was. Buggy shoved the now-dead pirate's charred corpse away from him, glad that he had shielded himself in time for the blast. Beside him, his two most devoted followers did the same. Well, that sucked, the one with long dark green hair commented. He moved to retrieve his unicycle from a pile of moaning survivors and unresponsive, casualties. Afterward, he sketed the layer of soot on it. They almost broke my unicycle. Screw your unicycle, the other man, who wore a fluffy white hat that looked like a pair of barriers, spat. They almost killed Richie. He walked over to a large, white lion with various bright colors dyed into its mane where it was cowering behind its own black and meat shield. He began whispering, consoling words to the giant feline. "Mahi," Buggy called, catching the man's attention. "As soon as Richie is better, I want both of you to track down those insolent fools that dared to try to flashily blow us up and kill them painfully. Kabaddi, find out how many survived and can be healed. I have no need for a crippled pirate." "Aye, Captain Buggy." Eventually, the group stopped by a pet food store where Zoro cut Luffy free from the ropes that still had him pinned. The store had no name as far as they could tell, but the sign clearly said pet food. In front of the store sat a white dog, still as a statue. It eyed the newcomers, but otherwise did not move. That was, until Luffy ran up to the dog. "Doggy!" Luffy cried like a little child, kneeling before the immobile mammal and reaching out to pet it. The swordsman, thief, and boy sweat dropped when the dog bit his hand. As Luffy ran around trying to shake the dog off, the green-haired man turned to the orange-haired girl. "So I guess you're Nami, then? You know me?" There was a waver in her voice. If Zoro knew her name, did that mean she was wanted? Was there a bounty on her head? "Don't worry, Miss Nami," Koby soothed, recognizing the scared quiver he'd heard in his own voice far too often. "Captain Luffy called out your name earlier when he told you to fire that cannon." "Oh. Okay. So what was Luffy doing in a cage?" Zoro asked, tearing a strip of cloth from his shirt and having Koby wrap his wound. "He agreed to help me steal Buggy's treasure and in return, I'd be the crew's navigator for a little bit. It's only a temporary thing, but Buggy thought it would be a good idea to have me shoot my former captain," Nami answered, using air quotes. "Does that mean we're going to need a bigger boat?" Koby questioned. "Nah. We can take the one I, commandeered from some lovely fellows." "Let me guess," Zoro grunted, wincing as Koby finished tightening the makeshift bandage. "3 pirates you left at sea in a storm. You met them? Picked them up, beat them up, then forced them to row. Huh. Neat. Wait. How did you get Luffy out of that car? Get away from Shushu, you filthy pirates!" An old man yelled, running up to the group where Luffy had still not stopped trying to shake the dog off his hand. The man was dressed in old armor that might withstand one swing of a decent sword, too, if the first hit just right. His hair was white and his skin tan. He had a short spear on his back. "Who are you calling a pirate?" Nami cried the same time as Zoro growled, "Who you calling filthy? You blasted Buggy pirates!" The man shouted angrily, pulling the spear off his back to appear menacing. "It wasn't enough to run us out of town and take all our money, so now, you're stealing from dogs, too? Just how low will you pirates stoop?" "Wait, mister!" Koby exclaimed. "We're not with the Buggy pirates. We were actually fighting them a few minutes ago. Didn't you see the big explosion? I saw a row of houses I'd helped build get blown to rubble." The irate old man roared. He swung his spear. "Listen, old guy," Luffy said, holding Shushu out where the dog was, chewing on his hand like a hanging chew toy while catching the sear with his free hand. "We don't like the clown guy any more than you do. That's why we shot him with his own cannon." "Why, you did what?" "It was pretty fun, too." Shishishi. "Well," the man hesitated, taking his spear back as Luffy let go. "I guess if you're an enemy of Buggy, then you're a friend to this town. I'm Mayor Boodle." Luffy snickered at the name. "And the dog there is Shushu. We're the only 2 left in this town since those pirates came. Everyone else is hiding in the forest." "That was a quick turnaround," Nami commented. "Why are you still here?" Koby asked. "I come back once or twice a day to feed Shushu, who refuses to leave the food store his owner ran. He was a good friend of mine, but he died of a Disease a few months ago. Poor Shushu, I'm sure he knows his master's gone, but he won't leave his treasure. Treasure? Nami questioned excitedly, her body practically vibrating with greed. The store, Buddha elaborated, much to Nami's disappointment. Off in the distance, the quiet sound of approaching footfalls made itself known. Oh no! The mayor panicked. It's Beast Tamer Mahi. Run! He bolted faster than the younger generation would have thought possible for such an old guy. Down the road came Richie the lion, his master Mahi riding atop. The lion caught the smell of the food and began eyeing the store, obviously wanting to tear the place apart and devour its contents. Mahi, on the other hand, eyed the group of 4 humans and 1 dog that stood in front of the store. Of them, only 2 seemed afraid. A pink-haired boy he remembered seeing with the swordsman and the thief that had stolen their map. The other 3, a teen, Roronoa Zoro, and a dog, remained still. Finally, Mahi smiled darkly. I've found you. Are you ready to die, Straw Hat? Roronoa? Nami? The large feline made a growling sound that almost sounded like a question. Oh, I suppose, Richie. If you finish them off quickly. Attack. The lion pounced, with gusto, causing the 4 humans to scatter. Boodle poked his head out from around a corner to watch just as the fight began while Shushu would remain neutral until his treasure was threatened. Mahi turned Richie toward Koby, deeming him the lowest level threat. The preteen panicked and began throwing whatever he could get his hands on, the majority of which was small debris from the houses that had been destroyed 2 streets away by the first buggy ball. The small chunks of rock bounced off of the lion with little to no effect until Koby managed a lucky hit. Richie roared as a piece of stone nailed him in the eye. He shook off the pain, nearly shaking Mahi off as well, and charged the ex-marine wannabe. Help me! Koby cried, finding his voice. That was all the other 2 official members needed to come to his aid. Mahi found himself flying forward when his mount's momentum was halted by a fist and a sheathed blade. The beast tamer landed roughly between 2 pissed, adult pirates and a scared teen who looked like a child. Never touch my nakama, Luffy muttered darkly, or I'll make you regret it. Next to him, Zoro stood silent like a demon ready to reap souls. Mahi did the most sensible thing. He tried to run. Unfortunately for him, Luffy could stretch himself. The captain's extended arm latched onto the beast tamer's shirt collar and dragged him back, much to Nami's surprise. We aren't done with you, Luffy grinned, his fist connecting with the beast tamer's nose shortly afterward. The force threw the man away from the younger pirate and right into the waiting arms of the so-called pirate hunter. Mahi audibly gulped. Shishishi. Luffy laughed at the sounds of Mahi whimpering and screaming alternating as Zoro used him as a punching bag. His laughter stopped, however, as the orange-haired girl grabbed him by the shirt. What the hell was that? She demanded, shaking the raven-haired teen. People aren't supposed to stretch. I'm a rubber son. Luffy got out through the shaking. I ate the gum fruit. What's that supposed to mean? Despite her question and the expectation of an answer, Nami did not stop shaking the teen captain. Ah, Koby tried, tapping the woman on the arm. She turned her glare on him, leaving Luffy dizzy in her grip. Devil fruit. The boy squeaked, trying the shrink himself. What the shrimp means, Zoro began, throwing a black and blue Mahi over his shoulder without a care to his pained moaning. Is that our idiot captain ate some weird fruit when he was younger that turned his body into rubber? You people really expect me to believe that? Nami demanded. Course we do. Luffy laughed, grabbing the inside of his mouth and pulling. Look. See? I'm a rubber man. But devil fruits are just a myth, the girl tried to protest. Well, here is your proof, Zoro grunted, punching Luffy over the head. The hit did nothing. Thank you. Mayor Boodle cried, running over from where he'd been whacking Mahi with a piece of wood. Thank you so much. We aren't done yet, Luffy smirked. I still have to kick that clown jerk's ass. No, I can't ask that of you, Boodle denied with a shake of his head. Buggy is this town's problem, and even if I'm the only one to fight, this town must resist him. So thank you for everything. After thanking the quartet, Mayor Boodle took off toward the bar where Buggy had set up his base, filled with courage, read stupidity, at the strength shown by Luffy and Zoro. The others had followed after tying up Maji and Richie, knowing that the old man would die if he tried to take on the Buggy pirates alone. Has Maji not returned yet? Buggy asked, annoyance filling his voice. No, sir, the lookout responded. Gah. Fine. Load the cannon again. I want to flashily blow this town to smithereens as soon as he returns. Yes, sir. Buggy. Someone shouted, alerting the pirates to a finger running up the road, toward them. Boodle kept shouting as he approached his destination, attracting the attention of the people on the scorched roof of the bar. I cannot stand around and watch you destroy this village anymore. Come out and fight me. Bwahahaha. Buggy laughed. The Chop Chop man's right hand shot out, latching onto the mayor's throat and lifting him up from the ground. Look at this. An old man thinks he can take me on. The surviving crew laughed at the old man's futile struggles until their captain cried out in shock. Now standing between them and Boodle was Luffy with Buggy's hand in his grip. Sorry, Big Nose, but I like this guy, so I'm not going to let you kill him, Luffy muttered. What? Buggy asked. I can't hear you. I said. Luffy yelled, sorry, Big Nose, but I like this guy, so I'm not going to let you kill him. Who you calling Big Nose? You. Luffy stated as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. That's so rude. Buggy exclaimed, yanking his hand free from Luffy's grip. Wait, where's Maji? I sent him to kill you all. And you were just complaining about our manners? Zoro asked as he, Nami, and Koby caught up to the captain. I'm pretty sure that's ironic coming from you. Or hypocritical, Koby offered. We left him and his lion tied up where they attacked us, Nami answered, acting like she had done more than just watch. And now we're here to kick your ass, Luffy declared. Buggy looked at them in disbelief. They thought 5 people including an old man and a child could have a prayer in hell of defeating him and his crew. He'd show them. No. Boodle shouted. This fight is mine. In response to this, Luffy punched Mayor Boodle in the back of the head, knocking him into a wall and causing him to lose consciousness. What the hell did you do that for? Nami screamed. Actually, Zoro grunted, that's for the best. If you fought, he'd probably die. It won't matter, Buggy butted in, because all of you will die, anyway. Men, fire the Buggy ball. There was the now familiar sound of a cannon firing as a red ball of death raced toward the small group. I've got this, Luffy declared as the bomb drew closer. Gum Gum Balloon. The teen's body expanded and would have scared Nami had she not forced an explanation out of him after the fight with Maji. His inflated stomach caught the cannonball, slowing it to stop before launching it back at the rooftop. Pirates screamed, 2 of them diving off the side of the building to avoid the subsequent explosion. These 2 were Buggy the Clown and Kabaji the Acrobat. You straw hat bastard! Buggy roared. Look at what you've done to my crew. Look at what you've done to the old man's town. Luffy retorted. Wait. Why does that straw hat look familiar? Buggy asked himself, squinting as his hand reattached. It reminds me of that red hair bastard. Red hair? Oh. You mean Shanks? Yeah, he gave me his hat. I hate him and anyone associated with him. Prepare to die, Straw Hat. Kabaji, get Roronoa. But Captain, Kabaji protested with some measure of hesitation. Wouldn't it be better if I took on Straw Hat and you took Roronoa? Shut up and do as I say. I will kill this little brat personally. Kabaji silently accepted his orders and hopped on his unicycle, pulling a sword from his mouth in the process. Roronoa Zoro. Prepare to die. A fellow swordsman, eh? Let's go. The acrobat sped forward on his unicycle, a very fearsome way to charge into battle indeed. Despite this, Zoro was unfazed, placing his white-hilted sword into his mouth. The two clashed as their swords sparked. Zoro's black eyes met Kobaji's, both refusing to waver or give an inch. They were locked in this stalemate until Kobaji called out his next attack. "Take this." Fire breath. He blew a plume of fire from his mouth, giving Zoro some light burns and searing away parts of his ruined shirt. "That's a coward's trick." Kobaji disengaged and pedaled away as Zoro recollected himself, the buggy pirate speeding up the side of a building before taking to the air. Festival of 1,000 Deadly Tops. From his jacket, the dark-haired man released a multitude of spinning tops that flew towards Zoro. Streaming wolf swords. The pirate hunter countered, his blades flashing up to cut the first several tops down with an almost bored expression. If he had been injured, stabbed for example, it may have been much harder. "How many damn tops do you have?" Zoro demanded, cutting though another top as he leaned out of the way of a trio that were aimed at his head. There was a steadily growing pile of tops building up behind him. Even so, Kobaji continued to fling the spinning projectiles at the green-haired man, even past the point of what he should have been able to hide in his clothing. "Like I tell you," Kobaji retorted, throwing one last top before landing and pedaling forward. Bringing his sword up as he approached, the acrobat swung downward to cleave the former bounty hunter in two. "Not good enough," Zoro taunted through his sword, catching the downward strike with whatifluffy. Kobaji pulled back to attack from a different angle, but Zoro deflected each of his opponent's slashes with ease. "You can't beat me. We'll see about that." Angered, the long-haired man sped up his attacks, his sword seeming to blur. Zoro smirked, his own weapon speeding up in response. Kobaji grit his teeth, both swordsmen locking their swords in a show of strength before separating, the one on a unicycle flying comfortably through the air. "Is that the best you've got?" Zoro remarked, enjoying the look of rage that covered his foe's face at the jab. "I thought I was fighting a swordsman, not some two-bit sideshow." Kobaji landed with an ease that spoke of years of practice and charged the green-haired man with a battle call. Zoro took a stance, placing two of his swords perpendicular to his third and held behind it. Demon Slash. The cyclist fell off his one-wheeled mode of transportation, behind the infamous pirate hunter, a look of complete shock on his face and 3 deep cuts in his chest. "I can't believe the buggy pirates were defeated by such trash." "We're not trash," Zoro told him firmly. "We're pirates." Meanwhile, now, while Kobaji takes care of Roronoa, I'll have fun killing you slowly. "You're annoying," Luffy stated. "Shut up. Don't you talk down on me." Using a sleight of hand, Buggy produced 4 knives in each hand. Chop chop cannon. His hand shot forward, blades aimed to kill. Koby cried out for his captain, only for the teen to roundhouse kick both hands as they drew closer. His opponent flinched, the paint transferred to him considering the separation didn't prevent his nerves from feeling pain. Seeing all the pirates either unconscious or preoccupied, Nami grabbed Koby and snuck off to look for Buggy's treasure. Neither of the dueling captains or swordsmen seemed to notice their disappearance. The clown-themed pirate separated his torso from his legs and launched his upper body forward, reconnecting his hands in the process. "Die, Straw Hat!" Buggy roared, bringing fists full of knives down on the younger pirate. "You say that a lot," Luffy responded, sidestepping the attack. He threw out his hand, grabbing Buggy's face. While the man was surprised, Luffy wrapped his other arm around his first and latched onto a handful of the man's blue hair. Gum Gum Hammer. Buggy's head came off, spinning faster than Kobaji's tops due to the unwinding of the rubber man's arms before coming to a sudden stop a few inches below where the road had been before. Luffy took a moment to see what he'd done. "Oh no. I killed him," Luffy wailed. "I'm not dead, you straw hat bastard," Buggy's head yelled, floating up from the small crater Luffy had made with it. His headless body connected to his lower half and started moving, slashing at the stretchy human while his floating head watched. The two duked it out with hand-to-hand combat until Buggy threw an uppercut. Luffy shifted backwards, but his hat was cut with the blade and fell off his head, shocking the younger man. Buggy froze as he realized what he did. He just cut the hat, the one that had been passed down to Shanks first. If the boy's story was true, what would his captain have said? "My hat," Luffy muttered in a much too calm voice, bending down to lift the headwear. "You cut my hat. I'm going to kill you, bastard." Gum Gatling. His arms shot out quickly, hitting Buggy hard enough to send whatever part of his body they came in contact with flying. Finally, one fist hit Buggy's face, causing it to tumble into the pile of parts several dozen feet away. The only things spared were the clown's feet. The clown captain put himself back together while sporting multiple bruises, including a very prominent one on the right side of his face. Buggy pulled out 8 more knives and flung his upper body at his foe, all thoughts of his former captain forgotten. Luffy responded like he had at the start of the fight, kicking him as he passed. Buggy's upper half rose into the air again, but his eyes locked onto something behind Luffy. With a cry of "Give me back my treasure, you bitch," Buggy forgot about the annoyingly strong devil fruit user he was fighting and charged Nami and Koby, who were sneaking toward the port. "Crap, he saw us," Nami breathed, the larger of 2 bags on her back. Koby was more vocal, dropping his smaller bag in fear. "He's going to kill us." Suddenly, Buggy froze, a look of excruciating pain on his face. Behind him, Luffy had taken the chance to kick Buggy between the legs for getting distracted. Luffy threw Buggy's lower body at his upper parts where he reconnected out of instinct. "Hey Buggy!" Luffy yelled, stretching both of his arms behind him. "This is for the old guy and his treasure." Gum Bazooka. 1 second Buggy was there, the next the clown's screams were echoing through the air as Body faded from sight. "That was awesome, Captain Luffy," Koby called as he ran over to the team, a barely winded Zoro wandering over. The 3 laughed together before leaving, Nami following behind and awed by their display of power. Despite this, she was still sure to have Koby grab the other bag of loot as they made their exit. Unbeknownst to them, the townspeople had seen most of the fight, and were now praising their courage. Reaching the docks, the quartet found their respective boats tied up next to each other, the 3 men that Nami had conned and that Zoro had beaten up lying unconscious on the ground. Nami's boat, the one she had taken from the unconscious men, was slightly bigger than the one Zoro and Koby had arrived in. It had an additional 1-person cabin and a black flag, emblazoned with the symbol of the Buggy Pirates. The girl ordered the 3 men to tie the boats together while she loaded the gold they had taken from Buggy into the cabin. "Thank you," someone shouted, causing the 3 males to turn their heads. A group of the younger townspeople were running towards them with a bag hefted between them. "Thank you for saving our town." "What's in the bag?" Luffy asked, purposely ignoring the thanks he was receiving. He didn't want to be a hero. Heroes shared their meat. "Food for your trip," Boodle answered, staggering over with the help of some middle-aged men. It appeared Luffy's punch had done a little more than just knock him out. "Please, take it." "Don't mind if I do," Luffy smiled, taking the bag. Zoro and Koby snatched it from him before he could stuff the whole thing in his mouth, something he was likely to do if the look in his eye was any indicator. Pouting slightly at being denied his snack, the 3 men and 1 woman pushed off from the dock and began sailing away toward their group's next adventure. Chapter 2. It was a calm day on the ocean of the East Blue. There was not a cloud in the sky to be seen, and the wind at their backs was smooth and strong, easily enough to push 2 boats strapped together thanks to both having their own sail. On these ships were the small crew of 4, or 3 and 1 temporary companion if one wanted to get too technical with the semantics. The bigger of the 2 boats, which held Nami, Koby, and their meager food stores, had a small cabin and a black sail with the emblem of the Buggy Pirates. The other held Luffy, Zoro, and the treasure under its plain white sail. They had started out with the treasure in the food places swapped to better protect the glittering jewels they had stolen from Buggy the Clown, but that was soon changed when Nami learned of the full threat Luffy posed to any food source within his ever-changing arm's length. With that danger mitigated for the time being, Nami set about navigating the ships while showing Koby a few tips and tricks to tide the crew over when she left them like she planned. They were on their way toward a small island a little over a day's sailing where they should be able to get supplies and one bigger boat. Eventually they reached a point where Nami could sail both boats without help, leaving Koby to his thoughts. Seeing that, the woman was no longer entangling the mysteries of navigation to the youngest crew member of their group, Luffy saddled up next to the girl with a wide smile. "So, Nami," he smiled, missing or ignoring the annoyed look she leveled at him out of the corner of her eye. "Why are you all the way out here? Where is home for you? What's it like being a girl? Do you poop?" "Excuse me?" the navigator roared, punching the dim-witted teen in the face as hard as she could. Luffy's neck stretched as the force sent his head backwards, ruining his balance in the unsteady boat, causing him to topple over the side. "You should never ask anyone that question to anyone, much less a woman." "Jeblubbulub," Luffy cried, his arms flailing on the surface of the water. "Get back up here. I'm not done beating you for that." Despite Nami's order, Luffy started to sink, his visible arms disappearing under the water until only his hand remained, even that slipping away. Realization dawned in Nami as he disappeared. "Don't tell me you can't swim, Captain Luffy!" Koby yelled as he remembered a part of the myth of devil fruits. He turned to the navigator. "People with devil fruit powers can't swim because the ocean hates them." "What?" Nami gasped, suddenly worried. She didn't like pirates, but that didn't mean she was willing to kill one. Without a second thought, she dove off the boat, blinking her eyes as the familiar pain of salt water settled so she could see. Luffy continued to sink in her line of sight, his body still as he reached for the sunlight above. She kicked, reaching him in a matter of moments to wrap one arm around his waist and throw one of his over her shoulders. Having secured him against herself, the woman kicked her legs as hard as she could, the two of them breaking the surface. Both took a deep, thankful breath. "Shishishi," Luffy chuckled. "I thought I was gonna die. You moron." Nami yelled. "Captain Luffy!" Koby called from the ships, a fair distance from them, now. He was waving a fishing net they had found in the cabin earlier. "Nami, come closer so I can pull you in." Nami groaned considering Luffy was still limp against her. She started paddling, the two coming close enough for Koby to toss the net with a surprising amount of accuracy. Nami snagged it with her free hand as the boy struggled to drag them in. Zoro, growing tired of watching the spectacle, stepped forward after a couple minutes and yanked both captain and navigator out of the sea with one mighty tug. "Shishishi." Luffy laughed. "Thanks, everyone. It's not funny, you idiot," Nami shouted, grabbing him by the collar, and she straddled his waist so she could shake him more effectively. "I could have killed you. Why didn't you say anything, you rubber-brained moron? Do you know what it would have done to my conscience if you died from that? How could I have looked my sister in the eye if I killed someone like you just because you can't swim? What sort of pirate can't swim, anyway? The whole ocean is a death trap for you and you choose to sail. Answer me." Nami stopped shaking the pirate, Luffy's head still rolling with swirls in his eyes. "So you have a sister?" he muttered. "That's what you got out of that? I didn't die, so it's all good." "No it's not." While Nami showed herself to be the scariest person out of the four of them, Koby had slunk against the side of the boat, the adrenaline of almost losing his captain taking a toll on him. What did he have to offer this crew? Luffy was the captain and an excellent fighter, Zoro was like the personification of brute strength, and Nami's navigational skills were a must for any sailing group, but he contributed nothing. If he wanted a place on this crew, if he wanted a chance at his dream of being able to right any wrong and protect the innocent, he needed to get stronger. Building his resolve with Nami still yelling at Luffy in the background, he spoke up. "So, Zoro? What is it, shrimp?" I was wondering. Don't stutter. Speak up. "I was wondering," Koby said again, louder, "could you teach me swordsmanship?" There was silence for a moment. Both Luffy and Nami were now watching the discussion with interest. The question was so spontaneous to them that it made them stop, frozen with Nami's hand still holding Luffy's cardigan. "You want to learn how to use a sword?" Zoro questioned. "Actually, I want to use two swords." "You want to learn two-sword style from me?" Zoro asked. Koby nodded in response. "Why?" "Because I did nothing to help last time," the Rosette responded. "I want to be able to do something in our next fight. Even just now, I couldn't do anything to help. You and Captain Luffy are so strong, but I'm not. I can't really learn to fight from Captain Luffy since I can't stretch, but I can learn from you. I'll warn you right now that I've never taught anyone before, so if I do teach you, it would be the way I learned and taught myself. It will probably be harsh and make you want to quit." "Still interested?" Koby was visibly shaking, but he still nodded his head. "Why yes." "You don't sound certain." Koby gulped, fisting his hands at his side as he raised his voice. "Yes, I am. I'm certain. I want to learn." "Good. We can start right now." Zoro threw Koby one of his swords with the sheath still on. The boy was unable to catch it, something that did not shock the green-haired man, but he managed to keep it in the boat. "Lift it," the swordsman ordered. The pink-haired pirate grasped the handle with both hands and raised the sword. He pointed it away from the viewers, not trusting himself to not accidentally hurt one of them, even with the sheath still on the blade. The sword shook and rattled in his unsure hold. "That's a good start," Zoro commented, "but you've got a lot of problems. For one thing, that's a one-handed sword. Use it that way." "What?" Koby asked. He was only holding it because he had two hands on it. He'd known he was weak physically, but that weak? "Take your weaker hand off." Koby hesitated, but did as told. He removed his left hand. Almost immediately, the tip of the blade hit the deck. With visible strain, Koby tried to lift the sword with only one hand, but the tip only rose about 7 inches. "Right," Zoro sighed. "That's not going to work." Koby was put out. "I'll never learn to use a sword, even with Zoro's help. I'm just too weak. I should throw myself overboard like how Vita always told me to so I don't burden shrimp. Drop and give me 50 push-ups." Koby jumped. But I can't do that many." "Then do as many as you can," Zoro ordered. "Until you can lift one of these blades with each hand, I can't teach you the way of the sword. We'll see if I can get some Bakken on the next island to start earlier since they aren't as heavy, but until then, we'll just have to whip you into shape." Koby was speechless. In the other boat, Nami realized the position she and the rubber teen were in, jumping off and throwing him away from her. "Well? Yes, Zoro-sensei." The boy dropped to the deck and started exercising. "Zoro-sensei," the swordsman mused. "I like the sound of that." "Damn it, Luffy!" Nami yelled, breaking Zoro out of his thoughts. "Stay away from the food." Zoro gave a hearty laugh as Koby continued to pump his arms up and down, a light sheen of sweat already starting to appear across his brow. 4 people spied on the ships that had just landed on the northernmost cape of Gecko Island. As they watched, 3 people, 2 men and a woman, exited the ships, leaving behind a panting boy who was lying in a puddle of sweat. The first male, a teen with a mop of black hair under a straw hat, yawned as he stepped onto the white sand. He wore a red vest and blue jean shorts with sandals. This teen also had a scar under his left eye. "So this is the island you were talking about?" he asked, directing the question at the woman. "It's pretty small. I hope we can get enough meat." "You never have enough meat," the second man remarked. He was dressed in long black pants with matching boots, a white t-shirt, and had short green hair with a sash the same color around his waist. He held 3 sheathed swords in his right hand and had a dark green bandana tied around his left arm. "I'm more worried about Koby," the woman commented before rounding on the swordsman. "I can't believe you did that to him." The female of the group had short orange hair, a horizontally striped blue and white shirt, and an orange skirt with raised sandals. "You pushed him way too hard." She gestured the boy in the smaller boat. The boy in question was short. He was dressed in a shirt that was reminiscent of Marine uniforms, had shorts similar to the first man, tennis shoes, and blue glasses. Straight pink hair stuck to his head and his skin shone like he had just gone swimming. "He asked for it," the man shrugged. "How else am I going to train him? Plus, I warned him." He froze, gripping his swords before turning to the hiding place of the 4 eavesdropping people. "We've got company." "That's right," a man's voice called, its owner rising bravely out of a bush to point down on the travelers with pride. He looked to be in his upper teens and stood on a cliff facing the intruders, his arms crossed and a look of superiority on his darker, tanned face. The teen was dressed in brown overalls with a white sash around his waist and brown shoes. His curly, black hair was held back by a green bandana and a pair of goggles, and a large circular satchel hung from his neck to bounce by his hip. A long nose stuck out from his head and was as plain as the nose on his. Never mind. Now that he had the attention of the 3 on the beach, the teen pulled a green slingshot from his satchel and loaded it with a pellet, taking aim at the intruders. "Don't you dare take another step or else my crew of 80 million men will attack." Behind the man, pirate flags rose from the bushes and trees in groups of 3 until the entire coastline was filled with them. The symbol on the flags was a skull with a long nose and a slingshot. "I am the brave Captain Usopp of the Usopp Pirates. And the town of this island is under my protection." "Usopp?" Straw Hat muttered, bringing up a hand to cup his chin as he stared into space. "I've heard that name before." "You have?" The teen gaped, stumbling. He quickly found his balance again, pointing to the sky in what he probably thought was a cool pose. "I mean, of course you have. I'm famous across the world, after all. Now be gone, pirates. 80 million followers." The woman scoffed. "Yeah, right. I bet the real number is 3. "Crap." 3 voices cried out. "She knows." 6 flags that had been moving dropped to the ground and 3 boys ran away toward the center of the island, leaving the oldest behind. "Wait. Don't leave me here alone," Usopp yelled, turning back to the people on the beach like a rusty machine. He was visibly shaken, but the teen still pretended to have confidence. The boy in the boat hoisted himself up with difficulty and dragged himself onto the beach to see what all the commotion was. "So 80 million was a bit of an overstatement," Usopp conceded, "but they don't call me Usopp the Brave for nothing. I can rival anyone with a gun." "Do it then," the other teen ordered in a serious tone, his hat shadowing his eyes. The woman and boy stared at him in surprise. Guns were made for action, not threats. "So do it. Pull the trigger." Usopp stood there, shaking nearly as bad as Koby had been when trying to raise Zoro's sword. Said swordsman smirked and prepped his favorite weapon, egging the sniper on. 30 seconds passed before Usopp gave in, falling to the dirt. "I'm pathetic," he whimpered, refusing to meet the eyes of the beheaded teen. "I can't even protect my town." "Shh. Luffy laughed, his heavy countenance disappearing. "I stole that from Shanks. Don't worry about it, Usopp." "Oh. Now I know where I heard that name. You're Usopp's son, aren't you?" Usopp jerked and fell off the cliff, surprised. He tumbled, rolling down the cliff face until he face-planted into the sandy beach, but he recovered quickly. Leaping to his feet, Usopp shuffled over to Luffy. "You know my father?" he asked, grabbing Luffy by the shoulders. "How? What can you tell me about him?" "I'll talk about it later," Luffy responded as his stomach growled. "Right now, I need some meat." "Well, come with me. I know a place," Usopp replied, shoving his slingshot back into his pack. Gesturing to the crew that had landed just earlier that day, the local walked over to a bush and shoved it to the side, revealing it to be a convincing fake. The group of four stepped onto the path revealed, Usopp replacing the false floor behind them before taking the lead. "Trust me. Lucky's is the best bar on the island. Well, it's also the only bar on the island, but the guy who owns it is a good guy. He doesn't chase me with a broom. That's your label for what counts as nice?" Nami questioned as the group exited the underbrush. "Well, I'm not too liked at the moment," Usopp admitted, knowing he couldn't get away from the stares and side glances the others were sure to see when they reached the town. "People don't seem to like when someone says they want to be a pirate. I know what that feels like." Luffy agreed with a grin, wrapping an arm around the long-nosed native. "In fact, your dad was part of the reason I wanted to become a pirate in the first place." "You mentioned my dad before?" Usopp nodded, ignoring the looks the group attracted from the closest villagers as they drew closer to the border. Alongside the hostile stares he'd grown used to, there was also confusion at a visitor with an arm wrapped around the village lyre. "He left when I was young, so I don't know too much about him." "He doesn't look too much like you," Luffy began. "His nose is different and his hair is lighter, but he's got eyes way better than anyone else." "Really?" Usopp grinned. "Mom always says Dad was a marksman and I want to be like him. That's why I picked up a slingshot." "Yeah, I bet you're just as good as Usopp. He's part of a crew that docked at Fushaw Village for a few months when I was little. I once watched him shoot the wings off a fly while looking in a mirror." "Whoa." Usopp's eyes widened as he and the pirates walked into their destination, Lucky's bar in Syrup Village. The group took a booth, ordering enough food for the group. Not enough for Luffy, but Nami punched him over the head when he tried to order more than they needed. Zoro was content with beer. The group sat there for nearly an hour, Luffy telling every story about Usopp he could remember, much to Usopp's delight. Nami listened with wide eyes, hearing stories of pirates told in such a positive light challenged what she thought she knew, the girl quickly shaking the thought away and labeling the stories as bias. "So my father is on the crew of red-haired Shanks?" Usopp inquired after the most recent story. "The red-haired Shanks? More than just on the crew," Luffy answered, reaffirming what he'd said before. "He's their best sniper. And he's one of Shanks' best friends on the crew." These words got Usopp riled up, spouting about becoming a pirate like his father. Nami cut him off. "Actually, we're here on a mission," the girl stated. "Is there anyone you know here that can help us get a boat?" The self-proclaimed captain got shifty, suddenly refusing to make eye contact with any of them. "Nope. No one here. Not a single person." "What about the people in that big mansion on the hill?" Zoro asked. "They seem wealthy enough to spare a boat." "Don't you go anywhere near that mansion," Usopp shouted, standing and slamming his hands into the tabletop before he could catch himself. He reeled. Oh, would you look at the time? I've got to go do something very important, so don't follow or wait for me by." The teen bolted out the door, leaving 4 confused pirates in his wake. "That wasn't suspicious at all," Nami snarked. "Maybe he had some chores he had to do," Koby offered, trying to give the lying teen the benefit of the doubt. He turned, expecting the response from his captain, but he found Luffy with a bulging stomach and an empty table, plates and all just gone. Luffy breathed out a satisfied sigh, patting his swollen belly. Zoro and Nami looked traumatized at whatever they had just witnessed. "I just blinked," Zoro muttered, glancing at his booze as if wondering if that was the cause of his apparent hallucination. He shrugged, downing the rest of the mug. It clunked back to the table, empty, as 3 boys forced their way into the bar, screaming bloody murder. "Where's our captain? You dirty pirates?" the 3 children yelled. Their eyes landed on Luffy and his unnatural proportions. "Ah, that meat was good," Luffy sighed, much to the horror of the children. "Your captain," Zoro smirked, amused with Luffy's choice of words, "was delicious." Yes," Koby agreed, wanting to play along just to feel included. Tasty, if a little. Stringy. AHHH. The three screamed as they turned to the lone female. Which? Why'd you turn to me? She yelled back. Their act came to an end when Koby broke into a fit of laughter. He was soon followed by his teacher and captain. Why are you laughing, you cannibals? The three cried. Shishishi, Luffy chuckled. Usopp isn't dead. He ran off a minute ago. He seemed to get really defensive about that mansion on the hill, Koby explained. Do you three know anything about it? Yeah. I guess that makes sense, one of the boys muttered. It is that time of the day. We can lead you there. I'm Onion, by the way. I'm Carrot. And I'm Pepper. And together, we are the Usopp Pirates. Nami groaned, face in her hands. This was exactly what she needed, children thinking that playing pirate was a game. Well, lead us, Zoro prompted as he stood, the rest of the crew following the children out of the bar. Usopp had said he had a tab going, so the meal was on him. It's right around 3 o'clock, Pepper noted as the group started walking up a trail. Captain Usopp always goes to the mansion around this time. Not that he lives there. His house is on the outskirts of town. Why would he be at the mansion then? Koby questioned, hiking along despite his weariness from the killer workout Zoro had put him through that morning. He told us to avoid it. He goes there to lie, Carrot responded. What? Nami demanded. That asshole goes there to lie to people? The woman who lives there, Kaya, has had a severe case of depression ever since her parents died in an accident a year ago, Carrot elaborated, shrinking away from the scary woman. Captain Usopp goes there every day to tell her stories to cheer her up. Well, then I guess that's okay, Nami amended, still miffed at the thought of lying to an innocent person. It's better than just lying for no reason. Let's go ask her to give us a ship, Luffy reasoned. She sounds real nice and she's a friend of Usopp, so she can be our friend, too. Despite the size, the group made their way to the large house. Its grounds were separated from the outside by a tall, concrete wall, a wrought iron gate now standing between the group and the mansion. Zoro rattled the gate, showing it was locked. How are we going to get in? Koby wondered aloud. Like this. The rubber man jumped up and grabbed the top of the fence, letting his weight stretch his arms, much to the horror of the Usopp pirates. Gum gum. No wait. Nami, Zoro, and Koby cried, grabbing Luffy in an attempt to stop him. The three children also grabbed on, not knowing what else to do. Pardon the intrusion. All seven were launched into the air as Luffy's arms snapped back to normal length. Usopp sat on the branch of a tall oak tree, a proud grin on his face, as he listened to Kaya's musical laughter. I'm telling you, Kaya, that goldfish was huge. I'd been watching the map while studying its shape in the distance, when I bumped into something in the monster's wake. And I said to myself, there shouldn't be an island here. There isn't one on the map. But there was something there since I'd just run into it, big enough to be an island. The goldfish was getting away, but it was too far gone for me to catch that day. Being the brave warrior of the sea that I am, I had to investigate what I could, so I docked my ship and jumped onto the weird island, and it stunk to high heaven. It smelled terrible. It turns out I'd just landed on that monster's poop, which just goes to show you how big that goldfish really was. Ahaha. Kaya laughed, bringing herself down to giggles. Kaya was a very pale, blonde-haired woman dressed in a baby blue dress. Her big, light brown eyes shone with a life that her sickly frame did not have, a light dusting of red over her cheeks as she listened to the long-nosed boy weaving tales for her. And you said you were 5 years old? Of course. Usopp replied. If I'd done it at 6, I could have caught that goldfish. Pardon us. A voice yelled from the sky, attracting the attentions of the two teens. Something hit the ground hard, kicking up a very impressive dust cloud. That was so much fun. Luffy cheered as the cloud settled, jumping to his feet. No, it wasn't. Everyone else shouted, punching him in the back of the head. Goodness! Kaya cried, looking at the group worriedly. Are you all okay? Don't worry about them, Usopp tried to wave off. They're just some fans that wanted to join the Usopp pirates. Nope, Luffy denied, knocking the wind out of Usopp's sails. Not me. I actually wanted to talk to you. You're? Kaya, Koby whispered to him. You're Kaya, right? Yes I am, the woman answered. And you? I'm Monkey D. Luffy, captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, and these three are Zoro, my first mate and swordsman, Koby, swordsman in training, and Nami, our navigator. Temporary navigator, Nami interjected. It's nice to meet you, Kaya smiled, but why are you here? You sounded like a really cool person and we wanted to ask for a favor. We need a boat. Who are you and what are you doing here? A new voice demanded. Everyone turned to find a black-haired man wearing a suit. His hair was slicked back, and a pair of round glasses rested on his face while black and gray striped shoes adorned his feet. He did not even try to hide his look of disgust when his eyes land on the form of Usopp sitting in the tree by Kaya's window. On second thought, I don't care. Get out. You are all trespassing illegally. But Kaya tried to argue. These people were. I don't care what these people were doing. The man adjusted his glasses using the palm of his hand. Their presence here is very detrimental to your health. You must leave immediately. Actually, not now, Miss Kaya, the butler interrupted. When your parents died, your care was entrusted to me. I cannot have you associating with ruffians like this son of sea trash. Don't you dare badmouth my father. Usopp ordered, jumping to his feet. He is a brave warrior of the sea on one of the world's most famous crews. My father is a lieutenant of a Yonko. Your father is nothing but a no-name outlaw. Even when not here, pirates still influence their children. Tutted. It just goes to show that it is in their DNA to be lowlifes. I will say it once more, leave immediately. Cease this at once. Kaya shouted angrily. Apologize. Calm down, Kaya, Usopp placated, going from 100 to 0 real quick. This is my argument. I have no obligation to apologize to the son of such filthy trash like this ruffian. Don't insult my father ever again, Usopp ordered, forgetting his own advice and losing his own temper as he slid down the tree. Usopp, wait, Koby tried, but the sniper ignored him. He stomped toward and, without warning, punched him in the face. Case in point, muttered, sitting up with a bruise forming on his face. He resorts to violence when words fail him. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? Usopp reached out, grabbing a fistful of Clador's shirt and prepared to punch him again. Usopp! Kaya cried. Stop, please, stop. I can't take any more violence. Please, Clador isn't a bad person. He's just misguided. Fine, Usopp growled, releasing the man roughly. I'm leaving. Happy now? You'll never see me here again. Usopp stomped away, not reacting to Kaya's apologies. That was very rude of you, Clador, Kaya stated after he'd gone, tears in her eyes. You're such a buzzkill? Buzzkill is a title I will gladly bear if it keeps you safe, Miss Kaya, Clador responded, straightening out his uniform. Now you all, please make your way off the premises as well. The three children that would follow Usopp like lost puppies began shouting at the butler, calling him every name they could think of. But Koby's voice cut through theirs. Yes, sir. It was nice speaking to you, Miss Kaya. I hope we see you again. Come on, guys. The crew, plus 3 boys being dragged, exited the estate, startling the guards that had been unaware of their entry. Well, that didn't work, Luffy commented, still with a smile on his face, but it fell with his next statement. That butler guy was a jerk, though. He didn't even let us talk and insulted Usopp. Rude. I mean, we weren't supposed to be there, anyway, Koby pointed out. Pirates or not, we were trespassing. Well, he still shouldn't have said those things to Usopp. Luffy paused, causing the rest of the group to walk ahead of him. They turned to see Luffy with a thoughtful look. I'm gonna find him. Who? Usopp? Nami asked. Yeah. I know what it's like to be alone when people don't believe in you. I wanna check on him. Well, Captain, Usopp usually goes to the cliff on the south side when he's sad, Pepper offered as the three local boys free themselves from Zoro's grip. We'd go with you, but we have to get home. We still have chores to do today. If you wait right here by the road, then we'll find you when we're done. That works for us, Koby agreed as Nami pointed Luffy toward the south. He thanked her quickly before jogging off. Zoro dropped his swords on the side of the road with a yawn, sitting next to them and leaning against a fence. Shrimp, start exercising. Wake me up later. The moment Usopp ran by the group sitting by the side of the road without even glancing their way, much less saying anything, they knew something was wrong. His faithful trio saying that he was wearing a very distraught expression just made it worse. They followed his trail back the way he had come to his special spot, the place Pepper said he went when he was sad or angry. They found Luffy at the bottom of the cliff, his hat on the ground next to him. His head was stuck underneath his body at a very unnatural angle and he wasn't moving. Did he fall all the way from the top of the cliff? Onion asked in worry. No doubt about it, Pepper sighed with a shake of his head. He's a goner. Captain Luffy. Koby cried dramatically, tears falling from his eyes. Nah z. What? Nami wondered aloud. Hey, Zoro smirked, walking up to his captain's body. He poked Luffy with one of his swords. Z. Luffy shifted, letting out a yawn as he righted himself and stretched, in the normal way. What a great nap. You're alive? Usopp's followers yelled. Captain Luffy. Koby shouted, running forward and hugging the teen. We thought you were dead. I can't imagine if you were dead. I don't know if Luffy cut him off, punching Koby in the head. Ow. Why'd you hit me? Felt like it, Luffy answered with a shrug. Oh. By the way, pirates are going to be attacking the town tomorrow. What? That's not something you casually say. Nami cried. Yeah. That butler guy is their captain and he was talking to this really weird guy with sunglasses. He said that he wants them to kill Kaya so he can inherit her money. I don't remember anything after that, though I think I yelled at them. Well, it looks like we've got only one course of action, Carrot nodded sagely. We've got warn the village and run. Yeah, Onion and Pepper agreed. The trio then ran away screaming like the sea devil itself was chasing them. We have to hurry, Luffy said, quickly jumping to his feet. We need to get all of the meat we can before the meat store guy leaves. You mean the butcher, Koby corrected. That's not important, you idiot, Zoro chastised. We need to get booze first. That's just as stupid. Nami yelled. Why don't we find Usopp and get his help? He lives here after all. Koby suggested. Thank you, Koby, Nami agreed. That's the first good idea we've had. Usopp seems to know the island pretty well. Yeah. Luffy turned, beginning a march toward the town so that could look for Usopp, but said teen stumbled onto the beach from the foliage. He was in a bad state, multiple bruises and welts, across his body and arms. His nose looked to be broken, bent at an awkward angle, and his left arm freely bled from a bullet hole. I tried to warn them, Usopp whispered, falling to his knees. Tears grow at the corners of his eyes. I told them about Clador, about Kuro, but they didn't believe me. I've told so many lies, they think I'm lying again. I couldn't take it. I know Kaya's in danger. I couldn't just leave her there, so Usopp choked up, the tears falling. I told her what was happening and told her to come with me, but she didn't believe me, either. I just want to protect her. and I want to protect this island. They beat me with brooms, but it's still my home. Help me. Please. I want to save this town, too, Koby stated. Those people don't deserve to be overrun by pirates. I want all their treasure, Nami agreed, still greedy even if she was moved by Usopp's speech. I just want to cut something, Zoro answered, always up for a battle. I just want to fight, Luffy nodded, punching his palm. These guys are messing with my new friends. They're going down. So, what is everyone good at? Usopp asked, growing hopeful. Stretching. Cutting, stealing. Getting beaten up ... and hiding. Usopp finished dejectedly. We're screwed, aren't we? Don't worry, Luffy told him, putting a hand on Usopp's uninjured shoulder. We can do this. All right, Shrimp, Zoro grinned, staring down on Koby. Luffy, Nami, and Usopp were out finding oil for part of the traps Usopp had devised, which left Zoro to do his best to get his new student combat ready before the next day. Time to learn. I can't teach you everything I know, like my three-sword style. You'll need to find something just for you when the time comes, but until then, you will follow my lead. Yes, Sensei. Koby straightened at his teacher's words, the two sitting in a clearing in the woods that Zoro had deemed suitable for training. In front of Koby was a Bakken, a wooden sword a little wider than a normal sword. It weighed just a little more than half of one of Zoro's weapons, but it was the best Koby could manage at the moment. Zoro had acquired two, but there was no point in starting with both. There is one rule I'm giving you, and it's a belief I carry very close to me: scars on the back are the shame of a swordsman. I don't understand, Sensei. What's different between a scar on your chest and a scar on your back? A true swordsman will never turn his back to an opponent, Zoro explained. Scars on your front are the signs of fighting a strong opponent, and there's no shame in that. In fact, there's pride in those wounds, but in a fight, turning your back is the same thing as running away. No real swordsman would attack a man whose back is turned, but there are plenty of pirates out there who will. Retreating and running away are different. But you must finish what you start. When you give up, when you give in, when you fail to protect your principles, those are the times when your back is scarred, and that shame lasts forever. Koby swallowed, speechless. This was what he wanted, to have the confidence and conviction Zoro showed. I understand, Zoro-sensei. Good, Zoro nodded. Every time you fight, every time you train, remember what you do it to protect and what goal you're reaching for, and you will grow stronger. Now stand up and watch my movements. You've got a lot to learn and not a lot of time to learn it. Well? Get up. Yes, Sensei. The sun rose over the southernmost coast of Gecko Island the following morning, shining down on 5 people, 3 of whom were ready to fight. The narrow path before them shone, the slippery oil coating it reflecting the morning sunlight. Luffy stood at the top with his arms crossed and face shadowed by his hat, thinking he looked like Shanks just before fighting the mountain bandits all those years ago. Zoro stood to his left with his bandana tied around his head, Wado Akamenji unsheathed and resting on his left shoulder. On Zoro's other side was his student, his new Bakken prepped for battle. Zoro had made sure it was good enough to withstand at least one battle with real swords before buying it. Nami stood on Luffy's right, her bow out and held behind her, and on her other side was Usopp, who was trying to weasel his way out of battle. Are you sure you need me? I mean, you all seem way stronger than me. If I'm fighting, Koby argued, then you're fighting too. But shouldn't they be here by now? Zoro questioned, gazing out at the open ocean. He did say they would be here in the morning, right? Kuro ordered them to land on the shore at sunrise, Usopp affirmed before he seemed to come to a realization, eyes widening. Crap. He must have meant the north shore on the other side of the island. You moron. Nami yelled. Our boats are docked there. Everyone, Luffy ordered. Get there as fast as you can. Luffy turned, a flailing arm hitting Zoro in the gut by accident. The swordsman grunted as he tried to move away from the arm, only for his back foot to step on the oil trap. He let out a surprised gasp as his footing failed, dragging him down the cliff. "Zoro-sensei," Koby called. "Go on, shrimp. I'll catch up." "No you don't," Luffy stated. He didn't need one of his Nakamen to endanger himself before they were ready. "Koby, stay with Zoro and find a way to the other side." Luffy left, running after Nami and Usopp. Koby called an affirmative as his captain disappeared into the trees. Koby let out a breath, trying to shake away or ignore the negative thoughts he'd grown so used to hearing, those same thoughts now trying to tell him that Luffy didn't want him because he was weak and useless. Luffy wasn't like that, and there was something he could do. He could be of use. "Zoro-sensei, we can get there by following the beach around the island," Koby offered as he turned downhill. He stepped forward to try to slide down the path covered in oil, losing his footing in the process but avoiding any injuries. "Got it." Zoro picked him up and threw Koby over his shoulder, starting to walk. Zoro-sensei?" Koby questioned after 30 seconds. "Why are you headed for the cliffs? Obviously the forest is a shortcut. But you don't have any sense of direction. You'd get lost in a heartbeat." "Says who?" "Everyone," Koby deadpanned. "Here." The boy wiggled out of his master's grip and grabbed his wrist. "Let's go." With no imminent danger in sight, the pink-haired boy quickly led the wayward samurai around the island's sandy circumference. The beach had an excellent view of the ocean, but the swordsman and student didn't have time for that, their speed getting them to their goal about 7 minutes later. The battle had already begun. Their captain fought on the front line on the slope to the beach, beating back waves of pirates with assistance from Usopp's long-range attacks. Nami was nowhere to be seen, but, if her obsession was anything to go by, she was probably somewhere on a cat-themed pirate ship grounded on the beach next to their own ragtag ships. The shore looked the same on the north side as it did on the south, though the sunlight now came from the sky to their right. The swordsman jumped in without a second thought, blindsiding the advancing pirates from the left. 6 of them went down before the others could perceive the newest threat, blood coloring the sand from their slashed torsos. "Hey Zoro!" Luffy waved, punching a pirate with his other, stretched arm. "What took you so long?" Shrimp insisted on taking the long way around. Zoro answered through the sword in his mouth. The sight of blood sent Koby into an automatic response, doing his best to hide by the cliff. Unluckily, 2 pirates saw Koby trying to hide and rushed toward him, not wanting to have to fight the 2 monsters instead. Koby very nearly panicked, but his limited sword training and the view of his teacher, fighting a half-dozen or so pirates alone was enough to get him to pluck up his courage. He slowly moved from his hiding spot. "Come here, brat." One of the thugs sneered, brandishing his sword. His companion carried a club half the size of the rosette himself. He charged, swinging his club horizontally to splatter Koby's brains across the cliff. The young pirate's eyes widened, the pink-haired teen, instinctively ducking under the wild's wing. Using his limited knowledge of sword work, Koby swung his Bakugan, impacting the club-wielding pirate's lead foot. It wasn't enough to break the leg, but the force took the pirate's footing out from under him. Before Koby could capitalize on it, however, the other pirate drew closer. Koby's sudden burst of courage ended and his long-ingrained fear took hold. He fled, avoiding the sword swinging at him and trampling the fallen pirate in the process. He ran to his master, hiding behind him and forcing the green-haired man to block and hold back all of his opponents. "Shrimp! What the hell are you doing? I can't do this, Zoro-sensei. I'm not strong enough." A pirate with a headband that looked like cat ears swiped at the child who jumped out of the way. In retaliation, Zoro pushed the enemies off of his left-hand sword and cut him down. "Yes you can, Koby," the swordsman urged, blocking 3 men at once. "Just stay close and remember what I showed you." Koby hesitantly shuffled out from behind the 19-year-old, but hurried back before joining the battle. "No. I can't. You wanted to protect the town, didn't you? Zoro demanded. Then, forget about yourself and think about the villagers. They can't save themselves, so will you help save them, or will you run away and scar your back? Zoro knew he was playing with Koby's beliefs, but they didn't have any time to waste at the moment. As per his intention, Zoro's words struck a chord. Koby wanted to protect the village. He couldn't stop now, not in the middle of the fight. He stepped out from behind his teacher with more confidence and charged the men attacking him. Scars on the back are the shame of a swordsman. Koby yelled. The pirates were caught off guard from the boy's sudden determination and fell quickly from the combined efforts of Zoro and Koby, more so the former than the latter, but that was irrelevant. The two finished their last opponent and put away their weapons. Django the Hypnotist, a thin man with colorful clothing, an Egyptian-style beard, and red, heart-shaped glasses stared at his downed men. Myoban brothers. Get out here. Two men emerged from the bowls of the ship. One was thin and dressed in the top half of a suit with the sleeves cut off, jean shorts that did not match, high socks, hiking boots, and a maroon bow tie. He had light green hair swept to the right and a hunch in his back. Alongside this walking insult to fashion, his brother was a large, black-haired man with no shirt, red and black striped pants, a purple and pink striped cape, and a bell and a choker around his neck. Both had little cat ear decorations on their heads and clawed gloves on their hands. "I'm Shem," called the thin one. "And I'm Muchi," the other called. "And together we are the Myoban brothers. At your service." The two jumped off the ship, landing before their captain, and bowed. "You called, Captain Django?" "Yes, I did. I need you two to kill these morons in our way." "What?" Shem yelled. But they're clearly too strong for us," Muchi whimpered. "You better do it or Captain Kuro will kill us all. We're late enough as is." "All right," Shem cried. "Just stop yelling." The thin man started running towards Zoro and Koby, tears leaking from his eyes and his arms flailing. He had all of the Straw Hats fooled. All but one. "Don't fall for it, Zoro-sensei," Koby shouted. "That's Shem of the Myoban brothers. He and Muchi are known for acting cowardly to catch their opponents off guard. Plus they are the main cat burglars of the Black Cat Pirates." Suddenly, Shem lunged, but Zoro caught his attack. "Damn," the brother cursed, his clawed glove pressing against Zoro's watafuffy. "That kid saved your life." Shem leapt back, two sheaths tied to his back. "But he didn't save your swords." He removed the weapon holders only to find them empty of their usual sharp contents. "What? Looking for these?" Zoro asked through his favorite sword, the other two in his hands. "You might have gotten my swords if Koby hadn't given me that warning." "Thanks, Shrimp." "Just be careful, Zoro-sensei. If you died." "I'm not gonna die, Shrimp." In the distance, Luffy and Usopp saw Nami sneaking out of the Black Cat's ship with a bag of treasure over her shoulder. Luffy wanted to call out to her, but Usopp slapped his hand over the other teen's mouth. "Che. So you won't be that easy to beat." Shem threw the sheaths aside and gestured to his brother who lumbered up to stand beside him. "But can you take both of us on at the same time?" The two charged. "Die!" Tiger Zoro growled, positioning himself so his hand blades were parallel with each other and perpendicular to both watafuffy and the ground. He waited until his foes were in range before slicing. Trap. There was no movement for a moment before looks of shock sprouted on the faces of Zoro's enemies. Blood spurted from their chests and they went down. Blood pooled beneath Shem at an alarming rate. Muchi, however, painfully pulled himself onto his hands and knees and tried to drag himself over to his captain. His path took him right past Koby, who whacked him in the head, knocking him unconscious. What the hell is going on here? Everyone able to turn to the slope where Clador, aka Captain Kuro, stood with his special gloves on. The man stared down at the battle, his army at the bottom with the exception of the dead and dying on the incline. and there were some dead on the hillside because of Zoro's sharp weapon. Their 4 adversaries, 3 on the slope and Usopp on higher ground, looked at the butler, pirate with surprise. "How have 4 brats halted you, Django?" "Captain K. Kuro," Django stuttered. Well ... There was another, as well. "Oh, I'm sorry," he sassed. "5 brats held you back. Listen well, you imbeciles. You have 5 minutes to end this fight. After that, I will kill everyone here." "Oh," Django squeaked. "Why yes, thank you, you're too generous, Captain. Men, look at me." He pulled out a small, circular disc on a cord, waving it back and forth. "On the count of Django, you will all grow stronger and defeat those whelps. 1, 2. Luffy blinked. His eye shifted from the swinging chakram to the Black Cat's ship where Nami appeared on the deck with a bag slung over her shoulder, their eyes meeting for a moment. "Django!" The living pirates yelled, their bodies getting bigger than they had been. The small horde of cat-themed buccaneers rushed at the band of misfits. "Shrimp! Usopp!" Zoro called and he lined up with Luffy. "Cover our backs. Watch Kuro." The 2 most cowardly fighters did so, staring down Kuro who did nothing but stand there with his cat claws, sword gloves, hanging at his sides. "I hope you aren't afraid of blood, Luffy," the green-haired swordsman commented as the pirates approached. "Nope," Luffy frowned, tightening his fists. "Do what you have to. Gum Gum Pistol." Brave claws of the demon cow. As battle sounded behind them, neither Usopp nor Koby turned back for fear of what they would see. Kuro glanced at his watch every now and then without batting an eye at the bloodbath, and Luffy and Zoro fended off his former crew. "Time's up," he said simply after 5 minutes. The ex-pirate hunched over, wobbling back and forth, head down and eyes shaded. The Black Cat pirates panicked, trampling each other to try to get away. Kuro suddenly vanished from sight with a burst of unexplainable purple smoke. Out of the bag attack, deep grooves of 5 parallel lines started appearing everywhere: the ground, the cliff walls, pirates, even the ship. Everywhere, Black Cats cried and ran for their lives, as unhelpful as that was. The Straw Hats tried to track the movements with less panic, though Koby and Usopp were on the verge of panic like their opponents. Zoro ran to his student, shoving one sword in front of the boy's face. There was the clang of metal on metal and Kuro became visible for a second, an expression of slight shock on his face before he blurred out of sight again. "Please, Captain Kuro. Stop!" one pirate cried before his throat opened. "Why the pussyfoot technique?" another asked before he lost an arm. "Why are you doing this?" yet another whimpered, curled in a ball on the sand. "I don't want to die." That poor soul didn't get his wish. "Stop it, you bastard!" Luffy yelled, throwing his arm forward. 5 cuts appeared in a small burst of blood, but Luffy's arm weathered the blow. Kuro was moving so fast he couldn't perceive the new obstacle in his way until he'd run into it. Luffy clotheslined the other pirate captain, Kuro tumbling due to his extra momentum. "Those are your friends you're killing." "Friends?" Kuro warbled, sitting up from where he'd crashed into the cliff head first. Blood oozed from a cut hidden by his black hair. "They aren't my friends. They are simply a means to an end, nothing but pawns in a captain's game." So distracted and dizzy was the pirate butler that he didn't notice that his 4 enemies had approached him. Luffy grabbed a hold of his left arm and both his legs. Koby claimed the right arm, yanking his glove off of that hand just for good measure. Zoro stood over them, a sword at the man's throat. "Usopp," Zoro spoke in an emotionless tone. "Would you like to do the honors?" "With pleasure." The long-nosed sniper lifted his slingshot and loaded a small orange pellet. "This is for Kaya." Exploding star. As the name implied, there was a small explosion at the point of contact. Kuro slumped forward, breathing shallowly. He would survive if he received medical attention, probably. Zoro and Koby backed off, the latter going to gather his sword sheaths. Luffy picked up the man's limp form and chucked it at the band of pirates at the bottom of the ravine. "Leave this island and never come back!" Luffy yelled. The pirates scrambled onto their ship with their captain, and pushed off, fading into the distance as quickly as their ship would allow. "Usopp, Captain Usopp!" The Straw Hats turned to see four figures, Kaya, Pepper, Carrot, and Onion, step out of the foliage. Kaya's white dress was stained with dirt and bits of bark, which suggested her trek through the woods was not as comfortable as it would have been for anyone else. They ran to their village's lair, only for Kaya to trip when nearly there. Usopp caught her gently and held her and she began to cry. "I'm sorry, Usopp," she muttered as her tears soaked the teen's shirt. "I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. You've always helped me so much this past year, but it wasn't until I found Mary bleeding that I realized. I'm so sorry." "It's okay, Kaya," Usopp whispered, holding the frail blonde carefully. "We had it handled. I kept the town safe. As long as I can help in, the words pirate are invading will always be a lie. It's fine. You're safe." Usopp's words, kind though they were, could not stop the rich young woman from weeping. Pepper, Carrot, and Onion surrounded the two, spouting about how they'd known he was lying about the attack being a lie. While this happened, Nami returned from stashing her stolen treasure and Koby collapsed from exhaustion, his adrenaline dropping rapidly. "Please. Never. Again," Koby wheezed. "I didn't miss that much, did I?" Nami asked, her eyes scanning the battlefield and the bodies thereupon. Her eyes widened at the motionless Shim and the red-stained sand below him. "Don't worry, Nami," Luffy assured, either oblivious to or ignoring the body, as Zoro picked up his now sleeping student. "We just kicked their asses. How was your haul?" "They only had 1,000,000 beerus on their ship," Nami replied, hardening her heart. "They were just pirates," she told herself. It wasn't totally boring. 4 guards easily overwhelmed. Great. Now Luffy was asleep before he finished his sentence, flopping to the ground. Nami glanced around, finding Zoro and Koby in similar states as their captain and Usopp and the rest of the locals gone. She sighed, sitting next to the rubbery teen and running one hand through her hair. "Saving an island, huh?" she whispered into the wind as the sun rose higher. "This is the second time, too. You gullible idiots need to stop being heroic or I'll feel bad." The day and night passed quickly, most of the townspeople blissfully ignorant of the battle for their safety. Kaya invited the pirates, and Nami, to stay in her mansion for the night as thanks for saving her and the rest of the island, which the Straw Hats were thankful for. It had been a while since any of them had slept in an actual bed, so they woke the next day well rested and ready to depart. Usopp didn't show up, either that night or in the morning, which seemed to make Kaya a little tense, but she tried to shake it off. Kaya led them to the shoreline after a quick but filling breakfast, insisting that there was one more thing she wanted to offer. Waiting for them was her other, now primary, butler, a man with sheep horn-like decorations in his puffy white hair named Mary. Bandages wrapped around his torso just poked out of his uniform, hinting to the remnants of Kuro's treachery within the mansion. "This is the Going Mary," exclaimed Mary, gesturing the ship that bobbed in the water behind him. "She's a caravel, a slightly older model, but one of the fastest types on the seas. I built her myself many years ago for Ms. Kaya's parents, but I'm afraid she isn't going to get much use here. We're sure she'll be happier with you. We've taken the liberty to stock her with a full month's worth of food to get you started." Little did Mary know that his version of a month's worth and Luffy's version were very different. The small crew was too focused on their new ship to enlighten the butler, however. The Going Mary was beautiful, with a red and white striped cross sail and a sheep, ram, figurehead, her brown horns a contrast to her white paint. The crow's nest was set at the top of the mast and the area over the crew's quarters was a wide upper deck that could be used for anything. A cannon pointed out under the sheep's head and another lay on the deck, kept from falling into the water by a white painted railing that surrounded the top of the ship. "Mine!" Luffy yelled, stretching himself onto the figurehead, much to Mary and Koby's surprise. "This is the captain's seat. Mine only." "Oh, what's that? It's amazing," Nami gasped as her temporary captain and their student swordsman inspected the vessel with excitement. "How can we repay you?" "No payment is necessary," Koby waved off as she chose to ignore how people's bodies should not stretch, stepping over to stand by her caretaker. "We only ask that you take good care of her. I haven't been able to travel with my illness, so I can't exactly use her." "We will," the navigator nodded. "I can promise you that." "Oh," Mary clapped. "Mr. Zoro, I heard that you are teaching the boy Koby, so I added a dojo under the crew's quarters with a full set of weights. Everything is nailed down, so it shouldn't go anywhere during a storm." "Thank you very much," Zoro smirked, a slightly sadistic, slightly evil look coming across his face. "I'll be sure to train him well." On the ship, Koby shivered. "Help me!" a voice cried. It seemed to come from Usopp, who was literally rolling down the road due to the large and overstuffed backpack he was using. "Stop him!" Luffy ordered. "He's heading right for the ship." The straw hat-wearing teen jumped down before he and his first mate lifted their left and right legs respectively. Usopp stopped when his face met their souls. On the bright side, his nose was spared thanks to the space between Luffy's sandal and Zoro's boot. "Thanks," the sniper grunted, standing up and wiping the dirt off of his face. "Now it's time for me to set sail. I hope we meet again on the high seas." "What are you talking about?" Zoro questioned as he climbed onto the boat. "Get on. We're friends, aren't we?" Luffy elaborated, stretching up to grab the railing. Again, Mary goggled. "You're on my crew, aren't you?" "Yes." Usopp cheered. "I'm a pirate captain." "Like hell." "I'm the captain." "Usopp," Koby whispered, grabbing the teen's arm before he could start a pointless argument with Luffy. I know I can't stop you from leaving. You've been saying your dream was to be a pirate like your father for as long as I've known you, but I'm still going to miss you." "Don't worry, Koby," the sniper replied, placing a hand over hers and turning to face the blonde. "Just think, when I get back, I'll have true stories so outrageous they'll sound made up. As the old phrase goes, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction." "I know," she sighed as she pulled out a piece of paper. "Here's my den number, so remember to call. Just be safe. Okay?" Before Usopp could respond, Koby leaned in and kissed him, freezing his world for a minute. She pulled back after a few seconds, leaving the long-nosed teen dumbstruck. He floundered, his eyes unfocused and his mouth flopping comically. The rich girl gave him a push to wake his brain up. "Now get going, you. Start having those adventures." "Alright," the sniper stuttered. Right. I'll try."